Oh, I don't think I'm going to fix it today. I'm only on page 205 of a 440-page diagnostic and repair manual. I have a lot of good ideas, such as using the automatic paper feeder that's used to feed the copy machine aspect of this machine, repurposing that to be the automatic paper feeder for the normal paper feed section of the machine. Also, as I'm seeing right now, I can just replace the entire gear assembly, which is definitely the culprit here. Some gear is wrong. That would probably fix it. But I'd like to try to repair. I don't want to replace. Who knows? They'll probably charge me $100 to replace. I could just buy a printer for $100. I'm not going to give up, but I would say a HP repair technician or a professional HP repair shop would replace the gear assembly. And that's what the repair manual says to do. I've got a gear problem, but I don't want to spend $100 to fix a printer. I could just buy a new one. So buying a replacement gear assembly is not an option. I would need to repair the gear assembly or build my own gear assembly, both of which I am willing to and prepared to do if needed. But I wouldn't have to repair every gear, just whatever gear is damaged. I could 3D print it on my 3D printer or fabricate it by hand, both of which I'm willing to do. I will not give up. Giving up is not in my DNA. Once you start giving up on projects, you're giving up on yourself, you're giving up on your dreams, and where does it stop? You might as well not get out of the bed in the morning. My life has been built on a series of wins, on a series of me not giving up, overcoming adversity, and then gaining a little more confidence. And every time you do that, you become more and more confident in yourself, and you build a track record so that you can believe in yourself even when you say something that nobody else can believe in, like I'm going to build a robot army. Nobody else can believe in that, but I can, because I know that I have a proven track record, and I know that I don't give up, and I know that I succeed at every single thing I try to do. So that's how I can say in confidence what I can and cannot do. Fluoride, you're like Samwise and I'm Frodo, and you're telling me don't give up. Don't give up, Frodo. The one ring I have to deliver to Mount Doom. That's my mission. And you're here to make sure I don't give in to all these foes that keep getting in my way, trying to stop me from my dream and my mission. It's a long journey to Mount Doom. Mount Doom is the robot army. That's the end goal. I have to overcome many foes in my journey. I'm learning so much. I'm so glad I read this. I think it's reckless not to read it if you have it. I could cause a minimum amount of damage taking things apart if I know how it's supposed to be taken apart and put back together. And all these photos are going to provide a great reference point for me when I'm trying to know what's going on as I try to get into the innards of this thing. I won't, Dimebag. I wouldn't learn anything that way. Knowledge is power, knowledge is money. With my knowledge gained from this project, combined with my knowledge gained from everything else I've done over the last several years, I'm going to be able to build a multi-billion-dollar business. So that new printer would have got me no closer to that. Would you rather have $100 printer or hundreds of billions of dollars in the bank? I don't know which one I pick. I'll take the hundreds of billions in fixing this printer. Part SL92, semicolon, space, connector number off the main DC controller PCB. Press return. Press return. I suspect this pickup solenoid may not be working. Press return. Press return. I also see the pickup roller never moves. I'm wondering if the pickup solenoid engages the pickup roller at a certain timing. Press return. And so the pickup roller never turns unless the pickup solenoid engages the pickup roller's gears into the main gear assembly. Press return, thereby causing the pickup roller to actually take action because it's now engaged. Press return. Press return. The pickup solenoid part SL92 is sent a 24-volt signal and a ground signal from the main DC controller PCB on its, press return, connector number J112, semicolon. We can test with a multimeter this thing's output to verify it is sending a signal to our pickup solenoid. Press return. It should send the signal right about the timing of the pickup roller picking up a piece of paper at the start of the, press return, printing process. Press return. Press return. I do not believe the tray has anything to do with the pickup roller. It only holds the paper. It does not move or anything like that. Press return. Press return. Thinking back, comma, there have been many times that the paper did not pick up on the first go. Press period. Press period. Press period. So perhaps this was a warning sign, press return, that the pickup solenoid for the multi-purpose tray had a bad connection that was growing worse. Press space, press hyphen, press space. As this connection, press return, continued to get worse, comma, the pickup solenoid would simply not turn on sometimes because it was not getting power. And this, press return, meant the pickup solenoid did not engage the pickup roller, and the pickup roller did not then move, and so no paper was picked up, press return, from out of the tray. And this meant nothing happened for the print job, press semicolon. The printer would then attempt a second time, which it, press return, is designed to do, press space, press hyphen, press space. It will always try one more time if it did not successfully pick up a paper on the first attempt. And usually, press return, on this second attempt, comma, it would actually pick up a paper and go from there. So this is all kind of making sense. Laser printer, paper pickup failures, troubleshooting notes. Press return, press return, press return. In addition to simply testing the output with a multimeter, comma, we can possibly repair the connection if we see a connection is not being sent out to the solenoid. Press return. Press semicolon. We may also find the solenoid to be malfunctioning, in which case we can replace it. Press semicolon. Press return. We may also need to do some tray rebuilding work or redesign work since it has been damaged and it does not seat itself, press return, properly with its hinging system having been damaged and bent. Press semicolon. But I do not believe this to have anything to do with, press return, the paper jamming errors and such. Press semicolon. I don't believe this because even when I manually feed it, comma, the pickup roller never moves. Press return. And the tray is not even on the device, so it clearly has no impact on all of this. Press Ctrl S. Press return. Press return. Press return. A really cool trick we can use is to tap into the J112 connector coming off the DC main controller . Press backspace, paste it, press space, which sends out a 24-volt signal. Press return, press space, to the solenoid, triggering it to turn on, which then engages the pickup roller, and that then grabs up a paper. Press semicolon. We can press return. Simply send that wiring to a place where we have an Arduino that can read from that signal through a voltage divider, which press return, will read a high signal into our digital input pin of our Arduino anytime the 24 volt line turns on, which happens to be the press return exact timing that the laser printer is trying to initiate a paper pickup event. Press semicolon. By having this timing, comma, our Arduino can press return. Simply rotate the pickup roller using a pulley system and a motor, which can be a simple stepper motor or servo motor, or press return. Even a DC motor, really. Press semicolon. Press return. And these motors can turn the pickup roller causing it to grab up a paper at the right moment. Press semicolon. Press return. Alternatively, comma, we can detach the automatic document feeder, open parentheses, ADF, close parentheses, at the top of the printer, and retrofit it to the multi-purpose tray. Press return. Region of the printer, and get it to be our pickup roller setup. And use an Arduino to turn it on. Press return. Whenever it gets that same high signal from the 24 volt rail of the solenoid and original pickup roller that are both, press return, collectively not working anymore. Press semicolon. So anyways, when the Arduino sees that signal hit, comma, it can turn on a MOSFET that is connected, press return, to any spliced wire we are pulling from, going to any other part of the system that happens to provide us with a proper ground, press return, and a proper power supply, most likely 24 volts, comma, that can run the automatic document feeder gear system and solenoid. Press space, press hyphen, press space, press return. In fact, comma, we can find out exactly what the wiring of the automatic document feeder is in the manual. And we can ensure we press return. Pull that proper wiring from other parts of the board that have live wiring in those voltage levels that we want. And press return. In this way, we can switch it on with MOSFETs and have that feeder run at the appropriate moment, which we already got the timing for. Press return. From the 24 volt solenoid signal. Press semicolon. And so in this way we can easily fix the problem if our attempts of fixing, press return, the solenoid connection or the solenoid or the gearing or whatever the issue is here with the original pickup roller. Press semicolon. Press return. Press return. I happen to see press Alt Tab. On page 341 of the repair manual, comma, that the main power supply feeds a constant feed to the, press Alt Tab, DC controller PCB, press return, press comma, which is the main brains of this device, comma, with a 24 volt and ground pin and a 5 volt with corresponding ground pin, press return, and a 3.3 volt with corresponding ground pin, press Alt Tab. And so we can easily splice into any one of these wires to pull the power, press return, that we want to run our Arduino and to run any motors we may wish to run or any solenoids we wish to run. Press return. Press return. I can say for certain that I think using the automatic document feeder would be a last case scenario, since it is better, press return, to keep things more on the stock side and try to fix the components to work as they were designed to work off the shelf. Press return. Rather than getting into major redesign work, which is more time intensive and somewhat less professional, and in press return. General, press G, comma, I think that when fixing things, comma, you should try to fix what is broke rather than create elaborate workarounds, press return, and redesigns to avoid or cover up fixing what was broke. Because you either couldn't do it or couldn't find the problem or whatever. Press return. Press semicolon. I think it is a lot more impressive as a general rule to find exactly what the problem is and fix that problem. Press return. Unless if for some reason that problem wasn't fixable or would take way too long to fix or would require buying a part, press return, that was very expensive, and so you are designing something to replace the need to buy that part or something like that. Press semicolon. Press return. But I imagine in most cases, comma, you can simply fix the problem or fix the part, which is a lot more professional and impressive. Press return. And can be a lot more helpful to someone on YouTube just looking to find fixes for problems, not redesigning their whole device. Press return. Which would then possibly fail later on because your design would not be tested like the original device design is. Press semicolon. Press return. So it is best to stick to the original device design, which has been very well tested. Unless that would be too costly, press return, or too much of a hassle or whatever. Oh no. A pickup roller assembly on Amazon. Look at the price of this thing. Oh my goodness. Look at this crap. I knew it. A pickup roller assembly costs $230. Wow. You can buy a new printer for less than that. I knew it. I knew it. That's why buying parts is out of the question. You gotta fix the parts. We don't buy things, we fix the part. We don't buy a part, we fix the part. That's next level. We're not a bunch of beginners here. We're high end. I'm a roboticist. I can make this printer. I don't need to buy parts. I can make every single part in this printer. Okay, I just confirmed. From, paste it. Press colon. Press return. Press return. That the pickup roller is supposed to turn a D-shaped roller with the flat part of the D facing down toward the stack of papers and the rounded, press return. Press return. Undo. Part of the D rotates one full revolution toward the front of the printer and sweeping down, comma, gripping a single paper, comma, and press return. Sliding that paper, press D. Into the printer, about 5 to 10 centimeters. Where the paper comes into contact with the front bottom of the rubber, press return, of the pick up roller, press delete, press delete. At the very start, and the far side of the rounded part of the rubber pickup roller presses the paper, press return, until the paper is all the way through and the rounded part of the pickup roller rubber no longer has any place to travel, press return. And at that point, the paper can continue its travel by virtue of the feed rollers, which continue taking it the rest of the way. Press semicolon. Press Ctrl S. Press return. Press return. Note that the little rubber flat strip that runs underneath the pickup roller is a spring activated pad called a separator, press return, pad, and it is given that name because its job is to prevent more than one papers from sliding up and through with the pickup roller. Press return. press semicolon, press Ctrl S. Also of importance is that the pickup roller is only activated for one full rotation and then is fully deactivated, press return, and disengaged from the gear train so that it will no longer turn and can spin freely. Press semicolon, press Ctrl S. The engagement and disengagement, press return. Activation of the pickup roller to the gear train is achieved via a solenoid. Press delete. Called the paste it. Press space. Press return. Press Ctrl S. Press semicolon. Press Ctrl S. Now my jam occurs because the printer detects no paper enters the printer after a certain point in time that, press return, a paper should have passed through by. And because the paper did not pass through, comma, the printer assumes there was a jam, press return. But it could just as well send an error message that says paper failed to feed in from tray 1, which is, I think, a better, press return, error message, because then you aren't struggling to find some jam or some faulty sensor, but rather you would be led to, press return, suspect the pickup roller system, which is actually the culprit in my case. Press semicolon, press Ctrl S. Note that in the case of my pickup roller, comma, press return, the solenoid is said to have a lever that disengages a stop on the gear drive gear on the paper pickup roller. Of the multi-purpose, press return, tray 1, input, press semicolon, press Ctrl S. So this tells us that some plastic piece is crammed against the gears like a brake. Press delete. Press return. Our pickup roller. And it requires a solenoid to take this brake off, allowing the gears to turn freely. Press semicolon. Note that on page, press return, 362 of the repair manual, it lists paste it. Press space. Right next to paste it. Press space. Press space. J112 press space. Part SL92 press delete. Connector press return. Press Alt Tab. Part number, paste it. And so we know that somehow this solenoid acts to X cause this clutch system to engage and press return, disengage somehow, making the solenoid pickup roller turn with the rest of the gears of the gear assembly for a time being, press return, and press return. Then stop turning after some set period of time. Press semicolon. This is a gear-based clutch system that is solenoid activated. Press return. Whereas some clutch systems are magnetic clutch systems where magnets cause two parts to come together by friction, press return. And when the magnets release their hold by power being removed, comma, the two parts spin independently again, press semicolon. Note that, press return. A car also has a clutch system, many in fact, and they work similar to car brakes, engaging and disengaging, and using friction, press return, or magnetism to cause one turning shaft to decouple from another turning shaft and recouple to it at will based on, press return, a magnet switching on or a lever being pressed to insert friction on a friction-based clutch system, press semicolon, press Ctrl S. It is very safe, press return, to say, comma, now that we know the D-shaped pickup roller just makes one full revolution toward us, comma, that all we have to do, press return, is disengage it from its stopper, brakes, press delete, press E. That are on by default, comma, the same way the solenoid is supposed to do, comma, and it, press return, will now turn based on the gear system. It is somehow coupled to, possibly by friction or something. Press semicolon. We can also just press return. Fully decouple the pickup roller from the solenoid and gear train entirely by cutting the shaft in half, press L, press F, backspace, and creating a, press return, bushing coupling that keeps the two just disjointed halves in line with each other perfectly. And this way the pickup roller is completely freed from the printer. Press return. And we can then turn it using a DC motor with a pulley and an Arduino that is coupled, press return, to the solenoid output connector J112 which will trigger our Arduino voltage divider circuit across that 24 volt and ground wiring. Press return. Pair of wires. So that our Arduino knows when the solenoid is technically supposed to be turning on. And it, press return, will, press return, cause our DC motor with pulley to turn, which will turn the pickup roller one full revolution and thereby feed the paper into the machine. Press return. And our problem will be solved! Exclamation mark. This would be minimally invasive, and of course would require us to pull, press return. "24 volts and 5 volts to power the Arduino." Press delete. And 24 volts to power the DC motor. From the supply rail leading to the DC main DC controller. Press semicolon. Press Ctrl S. But, press return. As mentioned earlier on, comma, we would be better off fixing the connection to the solenoid, supposing that connection was failing, comma, press return. Or even fixing the solenoid itself, supposing that is no longer working. Press semicolon. Or inspecting paste it. Press return, which may be worn out with damaged teeth or something, or maybe one of the gears press space, press hyphen, press space, namely, press colon, press return, paste it, press cut, backspace, press space, 22. Part number, may be somehow damaged. Press semicolon. Press Ctrl S. This is the gear that connects to press space. According to press Alt Tab. Page 362 of the repair manual. Press semicolon. Press Ctrl S. So that is where our investigation needs to be, very specifically. Press return. Press semicolon. And now we have a clear path of things to investigate and possibly repair, and a clear path for an Arduino, press return, based workaround project to MacGyver our way into the repair, exclamation mark. Alright guys, I'm gonna have to continue another time. I'm like doing so well with my research, but I don't wanna be up that late, like it's past my bedtime. Peace out.